in the admin chat, but our schedule has changed a little bit again.
Hello, I am Vega, the sentient intelligence assigned
We can
to
discuss that
us.
at a later
After
time
running
if we
diagnostics on
want.
the Praetor
That's up
suit,
to you.
it appears that I
Everyone's
can
looking for things.
activate optional challenges
Alright,
that
fair
will
enough.
complete
I always wonder,
resistant
like,
upgrading
how
your
much
arsenal at an
shop should we
accelerated
talk in
pace.
front of the
I
audience
have added
before?
a tracking component to your dossier.
Stop
don't know.
announcing things. But no, it's not a huge thing. So basically, it's still going to be like The Omen and the Exorcist this weekend, Fear Street Part 3 and Psycho Gorman after that. And then I think we were going to do a Quiet Place 2 after that. We're just going to push that back a week because my friend is available for Evil Dead and Insidious, or Sinister.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did just watch, as you know, I watched it in theaters recently, actually, The Quiet Place Part 2.
I actually just watched it on home video yesterday.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, I was, something about A Quiet Place Part 1 that didn't hook me. Part 2, I think I've turned around on this and I've become a bit more positive. Perhaps that's because I watched it in a theater. Maybe that has had some effect on it. But I also think that Part 2 delivered on certain story elements that I felt were kind of absent in Part 1. Not without justification, obviously. Because there was a reason that Part 1 was structured the way it was. But I think it's just general, well, I really shouldn't talk about it with spoilers, but no, it delivered on some things that I felt that I needed, and it was good.
Yeah.
It was good seeing those
I
things.
feel like I need to watch Part 1 and Part 2 back to back to see which one I like more.
Especially now.
But yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, I go back and forth on whether or not the movies could have been condensed into one.
I don't think
But at the same time, I always consider, well, the pacing of these movies was important. And it's not as if we waste a lot of time in either one. Or at least not so much in Part 2. Because Part 2 is fairly active.
And they're short as it is. Like,
yeah. What if there's director's cuts for each one?
But yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen anything about that.
Yeah, I don't think these ones would require director's cut. I think they're fairly well paced for what they are.
And I never feel like I'm watching a compromised film.
No, I mean, how could it be? I mean, it's John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. They're essentially directing this thing, like, by themselves for the most part.
Although, yeah, it was a little weird how little Emily Blunt had to do in the second one.
No, I mean, well, no, she was fairly active, at least in the first half of it. No, she had stuff to do. I think. I think it's because we see the kids doing more stuff. And I think we see the parents being less active. But I mean, as we know, Part 1, I mean, John Krasinski's character is dead. But we get a flashback sequence in which the actor actually gets to be present for a bit in the movie.
And it was wonderful.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, I mean, you remember probably my initial misgivings about if this movie would require a sequel or not, and we were both talking about, yeah, if they plan this ahead of time, if there's still a portion of the story they want to tell, yeah, we're open to seeing it. And here we are.
Well, and that was the big thing with Krasinski, was he didn't want to do a sequel.
And what will be your
Fine, I'll go to Arsenal. You leave me alone. Jesus. But he had to be talked into it. He's like, okay, I may have an idea.
No, I can understand, the reluctance, because especially if you do something well, you think you wrap it up, you think that the characters kind of go through their arcs. It's kind of hard to write in something to continue justifying these characters' presence. But no, I think the characters have enough to do where they actually kind of enter a second arc in some ways, especially the kids.
Yeah. And it deserved that title Part 2 because it just really just feel like it.
Yep. But I feel like this one is ripe for a Part 3. I think this one definitely has
I'm pretty sure they already announced it, but I don't think Krasinski's coming back.
Yeah, I really don't see that much of a justification to like another flashback or like
no, I mean a
mirage scene or something like that. Oh.
That's the only thing that makes me like it. This is kind of his baby.
Yeah, also, his wife is still involved?
I don't know if they've announced any like official casting other than they want to do a part 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If Krasinski is, maybe he wants to take a break, or maybe he's involved in another project that he's going to put more of his heart into. I can understand
also
that.
See them doing it about Cillian Murphy's character.
That is true. I don't know. I guess what you could do from here is the kids kind of growing up, essentially, and like being able to go out on their own to find like a new paradise or something like that. Yeah. But there is an issue that I could see where the characters may become complacent and will act, and us as the audience will be stuck in a location for a bit. Because we've established that they've found an... no, I was about to
save
say
that
spoilers.
stuff for the review.
Yeah. My apologies, everyone. But for those who have seen the movie, you might know what I'm talking about. So.
But speaking of kids growing up, we got to do some Stranger Things stuff soon.
Are we going to become one of those channels?
I mean, it's a horror show.
That is true. I know, but everybody knows about that thing. Everybody knows. But I mean,
everybody knows about Buffy. We're still reviewing it.
Well, yeah, but Buffy's older. You know, Stranger Things is still in the public eye. I don't know. I might just being prissy and just trying to be contrarian.
Aren't you always?
Not always. But sometimes, yeah.
We got a motherfucking chainsaw.
I mean, let's hope not.
How do I use it?
There we go.
There you go.
Is it like a one-time use and then it recharges or something like that?
It runs on gas. Like, gas just works like any other ammo.
Gotcha.
And then that will fill up all of your guns as ammo. It's amazing.
That's cool.
But no, yeah, like my main focus on our TV stuff right now is Buffy. Can you believe we're, I would say, over halfway there with Buffy at least?
This is hard to judge in some ways because we'll be doing like we're doing 2 seasons back to back of 2 different shows.
Well, I mean, just speaking for Buffy itself, we're on season 4 out of 7.
That's fair. Yeah, I would consider us at the halfway. It's crazy to think about it. I didn't know how long I was going to commit to this show.
Once you watch Buffy, you get hooked. Although I feel like this season might test you.
We'll see. There were some episodes in season 1 that weren't great, and less so, but still some in season 2. Season 3 was a fairly good ride.
Shit. Season 4's biggest issue is it's too many standalone episodes, and the main overall plot sucks. But there are some great standalone episodes. But that's okay, because season 5 is back to form. No, I don't expect you to fully break on this show until we get to season 7 of Buffy and season 4 of Angel. Those are the bad ones.
You're giving me a lot to look forward to, John.
Oh my God. Dude, I cannot wait to see your reaction to some of the stuff in Angel season 4.
Yeah, and you've been complaining about the comics too, so I feel like these shows are not going to get the send-off they probably would desperately need.
So I complained about the Boom reboot. I have not read the Dark Horse official continuation of that show. Those shows, other than the Angel Season 6 comic, which was decent.
Well,
but I thought we would take a look at some of that stuff.
We could probably queue them up. At some point, we'll get to comics, I'm sure.
Well, we're doing Hellboy this Sunday, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
I need to catch up on the reading.
Yeah, I'm gonna read that probably this weekend. I even ordered the omnibus. But yeah. My plan is once we finish Angel Season 5, because that comes out after Buffy Season 7, we might look at like Angel Season 6 or the first half of Buffy Season 8. Those are all comics. I liked most of Season 8. Its biggest issue is that it's a comic book, and so now they don't have a budget, and they forgot how to like restrain themselves. Because obviously on pen and paper you can do anything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It just sucks that a lot of that stuff is out of print since Boom got the license. And they're reprinting some of it, but it's all the like omnibus stuff that's running during the show, which I've read some of that stuff and it's fine. But a lot of it also doesn't, I don't think, exactly fit with the show, because it was running like at the same time as the show, so it's just like, here's a story that's supposedly set in Season 3, but you can't tell. Could be set at any point in the show.
Yeah, that's definitely not what the viewers would want, certainly. I mean, I'd be fine with it if there's like a standalone story that they want to tell that helps express the characters and is kind of focused on that. But it would be hard to recontextualize characters who've been so much exposed for like a very long time across many different episodes.
Yeah.
So I mean, if someone has a passion for something, that's one thing. It's entirely another if they're just doing it to just keep hold of the license for the IP. Which of course we have.
I might try those Buffy Boom comics again, but just what I've read was fucking awful. It never failed. There we go. I always get lost in this game. Oh. Oh, man. So you've been watching anything else pretty good?
I actually recently watched Fire Walk with Me.
Oh.
Twin Peaks. Yeah.
Speaking of Twin Peaks, I just finished Season 1.
Neat. What did you think?
I thought it was perfectly okay.
It's definitely a show doing its own thing. David Lynch, like, you talk about stuff that doesn't hold your hand. David Lynch is like, he will throw you into the deep end deliberately.
Yeah.
With or without your consent.
So, like, I don't mind that. I actually love everything around Cooper and the investigation into Laura Palmer.
Sure.
My biggest issue with that show so far is all of the other subplots that I don't care about.
It's the intent of the show, the conceit of it originally was essentially to parody the idea of the soap opera. So David Lynch and Mark Frost, I think is the co-writer's name. Yeah, they're being dedicated to that premise. They kind of want to take these archetypes and like kind of turn them on their heads, as well as just kind of poke fun at basically, you know, American living and whatnot, and people just being dedicated to these long-running shows in which these plots are rather, you know, petty. Of course, yeah.
Are you ready to move on?
Of course, we can save most of our discussion for a later review, but I still like it. It's the show. If you don't like that, which I would imagine that like a lot of people don't like plots that go nowhere, or like rather petty, you know, considering the fact that there are larger stakes at hand. There's a reason why the second part of season 2 is very, very flawed, unfortunately. There's some great, but there is some awesome stuff in season 2 that makes it absolutely worth the watch, but even what I did until later was like, I kind of just skipped certain sections entirely, because they really don't add anything. And you'll know at the point where the quality starts to drop, because David Lynch started getting forced out, and he only returned to like the very end to hold back the reins, and then it gets great again. And then the return happens 25 years later. Well, Firewalk with Me was also released a bit later.
Firewalk with Me is kind of what's like keeping me in the show, because I really want to see that movie.
Firewalk with Me it's framed like it's technically a prequel, but it's framed where understanding the context of the story of seasons 1 and 2 actually really helps you understand what's going on.
That's why I'm watching the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I figured what we would do is when I finish season 2, schedule something with Connor. Because obviously Connor is like the biggest David Lynch fan. And maybe do just an hour-long talk about it or something.
Yeah, I highly recommend also when we get into it, you watch The Missing Pieces. I mean, it is deleted scenes footage, but there are some portions of that which I think you might find very interesting if you still like the show.
But slowly but surely, I am working my way through David Lynch stuff. I watched Mulholland Drive.
Ooh, I haven't seen that one yet. What do you think?
Still don't know what the fuck was going on, but I'm pretty sure I loved it.
Yeah, I'm still getting through Lost Highway. I've seen Blue Velvet.
I really liked Blue Velvet when I was a teenager. I think my
Yeah, just saying that.
going to be Lost Highway, since you mentioned it.
Yeah, Lost Highway has like an interesting, you know, meta-narrative going on in the audience where I think it was like the main actor may or may not have been responsible for the death of his wife.
Oh.
And so going into that, like understanding that in hindsight later, and then watching the movie, which something very similar plays out, is kind of spooky. But yeah, I've only seen half of it. It's a hard movie to judge because David Lynch himself is just, you know, a Lynchian film when you see it, and like nobody else can reproduce it. It's weird. Sometimes he'll have some stinkers where the thing is completely incomprehensible. Then the next, he's uploading a video about him cooking quinoa.